Hello everybody, Pager here with CineMilled. I got something a little different for you today. I've been going through a little bit of a process to get this thing working that I've been trying to get working for a while, which is the Ronin RS3 Pro Combo with the LiDAR to work standalone. Now, this is something that DJI has already addressed. You can get the DJI side handle or Pro Focus handle or whatever they call it, and with the LiDAR version 2, and it'll work standalone on any camera you put it, and it works really nicely, and it's a great solution, and probably it's what I should do. But I already have a RS3, I already have a LiDAR version 1, and I've been told that you can make it work standalone. So I did some research on the internet. Sure enough, there's a way to do it, but the videos weren't that great. So now that I've seemingly figured it out, I'm about to finish setting it up. I figured, why not? Let me shoot a video and clear this up for anybody else who's trying to do the same thing. Now, I got these amazing pair of set of iron glass lenses a while back. I have a shoot that I need to do here pretty soon where I'm going to be sort of one-man banding it. I'm going to be by myself. And I really wanted to try out my new lenses, and I won't have a focus puller. So instead of struggling to pull focus and shoot, I thought, I have this LiDAR sitting here. Let's get this working. So in any case, let's see what it takes. All right, those are the lenses. You can see it on my Alexa LF here. And so, why this weird setup I got going on here is because probably to make this easier on myself, I could have probably mounted this on the gimbal. But, I guess this replicates if you have a really large camera, like a Alexa Classic, for example, and that it won't fit on the gimbal, like what you would have to do, right? So obviously this is, we're going to have to jump through some hoops here to make this happen. Again, the easiest way to solve this problem is just to get the DJI focus handle and the new LiDAR, which is actually better than this LiDAR. But anyways, I digress. So step one is mounting your DJI LiDAR. Again, this is LiDAR version 1 onto the camera. And now you're going to want to pick a place where you can repeatedly put it back in the same exact spot. So in my case, I did that here. This mark here is something I left a long time ago, which is the film plane mark on this camera. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to measure. So step 1 is mount it securely in a place that's repeatable. Step 2 is very accurately measure the front of the LiDAR to the film plane, right? So I actually asked my wife to help me out. I took a ruler, I laid it on this edge right here. I took another flat surface and I laid it on this edge right here. And I actually took a set of calipers that I had and I took a very accurate measurement. So there you go, 133 millimeters. So the front of my unit is 133 millimeters from my film plane, as accurately as I could measure it. So that's step 2, is to get a measurement from the front of your LiDAR to the film plane of the camera you're planning on using. All right. So the next thing I should probably explain here, why is this camera up on this stool? And I have my Ronin RS3 next to it. Once again, I didn't want to mount the camera on there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the LiDAR and plug it into the gimbal so that we can use the screen and get it all set up. All right. All right. So, but before we do that, oh, and the thing is the USB cable is so short that if I had both this camera on the ground, it wouldn't reach the LiDAR. So the only way I fix the problem of the length of the cable is to put the camera up on a stool. So that's why the camera's on a stool. There's lots of ways you can solve this problem. Just get a longer USB-C cable that is compatible with the LiDAR that gives you power and data. And so since I didn't want to go searching for a cable that works, I'm just using the original cables that came with the Pro combo, and they're on the short side. So the only way to make them, reach is by propping up the camera to this height. So, okay, now that we've figured, we've covered that, I set my focus chart. The part of the procedure you're probably hopefully familiar with already in setting up the LiDAR autofocus is it's going to ask for two measurements. It's going to ask for one measurement 4 feet away from the wall, let's call it, or your subject. And then it's going to ask for another measurement 4 meters away, which is 13 something feet. So I laid down the tape as a reference. I put up my focus chart that I have there. And then I propped up the camera to the same height so that the cable will reach. So we're all set up to try this. Now, let me go over what you're actually going to need. So you're going to need to make a special purchase. So on Amazon, I was able to find this special D-tap. This is the orange one you see here. The D-tap to USB-C cable that actually delivers a high output. So you can see here the output, 15 volt output, right? So regular USB-C cables, if you have a D-tap won't deliver enough voltage to make the whole thing work, right? So you're going to have to buy this cable. Now, on the YouTube video I found, there was some comments from people saying you only needed one of these cables. So, and I had mistakenly only bought one. And so when it arrived, I tried to make it work. It did not work. No matter what I did, I didn't get the right lights. Things weren't powered up enough. So, I did what the girl did in her YouTube video, which was she used two cables. So one of these USB-C cables, as you can see here, let's follow it, right? One of them is powering the LiDAR unit. So that's in the first hole there. The second cable, it's that original cable, and you're going to it's actually labeled to LiDAR. So we're going to plug that in that port there, and it's got that little attenuator here or whatever. And so that's going in to whichever port, doesn't matter. I use this first port on the focus motor, okay? And then the second USB-C is actually powering the motor. So just to review, you're going to have to buy these two cables on Amazon or wherever, and one of them is going to power the LiDAR and the other one is going to power the focus motor. Okay. Once again, I tried it with just one cable and it did not work. So maybe you'll have different results, but that's the process I've been through. Okay. Now, so slap the battery on here. The camera's going to get power. My monitor is going to get power. The DJI motor is going to get power, and the LiDAR is going to get power, and we are off to the races and shooting. Okay. Now you see here on the LiDAR, there's three lens profiles. So we're going to set up all three lens profiles because you guessed it, I have three lenses. All right. Just so happens I have three lenses. So that works out just perfect. But this is how it's going to be set up if everything's already all set up, which it's not. So we need to program the LiDAR with the right offset and calibrate the motors to each lens profile and all that stuff. And the only way to do that in this case is using the screen here and using the entire Ronin 3 RS3 itself. All right. Okay, so we have the gimbal on. I locked all the axes so we're not wasting electricity. You're going to want to have your battery all charged up because the last thing you want to do is to have the battery die in the middle of the whole lens setup. So what I did is I bought a insert for the 12 mil rod, and that's how I'm doing it. So as you can see here, there's a big gap because I only have the insert on the front, and that's enough. It's working. So we're using a 12 mil rod in a 15 mil IRIS rod hole, and I found that to be the easiest solution is a shim, essentially. And anyways, that's how we do the lens motor, right? That's how we do the IRIS rod. All right, so let's just swipe right, and you'll see an image there, and that image is actually coming from the LiDAR unit itself. There's a camera, it has a built-in camera, and that's where you're seeing that. It's not the image coming off of the main camera. So let's go into settings. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up the installation distance. So enter installation distance. So we're going to want to slide that to my installation distance. Yours will be different. And it's hard to land on the right one, so then you can use the plus and minus here. Mine is 133 millimeters. So then you just hit back, make sure it says 133, that it accepted the distance that you put in. And then let's go in here into lens profile. Okay, you're going to see probably 3 empty slots. If not, you can go in and delete them. So C1, C2, C3. So that corresponds with the 3 lights that you see here. Red is blinking currently, C1, C2, C3. That's how you know which lens profile you're on. And let's continue. So we're going to want to do C1 because that's my first lens in my 3 lens set. And we want to set the focal length, so you can use your finger. And this one is a 37. Ooh, I landed it. But if not, you can use the plus and minus to walk your way into the absolute correct number. So there we go. And now we're going to do start motor calibration. Hopefully it won't give us an error, but you'll see the motor turning there, and it's finding the endpoints of the focus throw on whatever lens you're calibrating. So once that's done, it'll give you focus motor calibrated, confirmed, successful. Click OK. All right. So you can see there it now shows 1 millimeter in yellow. 1 meter, sorry. 1 meter in yellow. And you can see here, let me see here if it's gonna focus. Yeah, there we go. That, see the number on the lower left-hand corner? That is the actual distance readout from your LiDAR, okay? So what we're gonna wanna do at this point is I'm not quite at 1 meter, right? I'm at 1.23. So I'm actually gonna wanna slide this camera forward. So I'm gonna slide it here on this, and we're gonna see that number change. Okay, so you're probably going to notice now that your film plane mark should be close to 3.3 feet or 1 meter. And if we now look at the screen here, my iPhone will focus. There you go, perfectly at 1 meter. All right, so now we got the LiDAR sensor at 1 meter. So now we're going to use your finger here and turn the focus motor. You'll see it spinning there. And we're gonna now find our focus, and there we go, there's the peaking. I want to see if I can get the center. There we go, the center's coming in, and I have the lens wide open so we get the smallest depth of field possible, and I'm gonna roll it back and forth and find critical focus. We have the sensor at 1 meter. So now what we do is, well, let me focus up. There we go. Now what we do is we just touch the bottom. Boom. Step 1 complete. And now we do this, repeat the same process, but now we have to be at 4 meters. Got to be an easier way to do this, like maybe put it on a skateboard or do this at a rental house that has one of those sort of dolly setups. Now we're back at 4 meters. And I want to talk about this real quick. So, as you can see there in the lower left-hand corner, it says 3.98, and it's kind of blinking a little bit. If I take my hand here and I slide this camera back just a fraction of an inch, you're going to see it jump to 4.1. So it's kind of a LiDAR error, I guess you could say. I don't know if it's because I'm not shooting at a flat wall, and maybe it's reading those ridges, or I don't know what, but I cannot get it to a perfect 4-meter reading. So it's either 3.98 or, let me slide it back, 4.1, I think. Yeah, 4.1. So between those two, 3.98 is much closer to an exact 4 meters. So I'm going to call that 4 meters. All right. So now we need to, using my finger down there on the focus wheel. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Let's get focused up. And we start seeing we're getting close. Getting close. Oh, okay. All right. So we're only going to resolve right that third circle there. So we're rolling past critical focus. I'm going to dial that in right there. Okay, I'm going to call that done. So just like before, we're just going to tap the bottom. Added successfully. All right, so now we see there 37 millimeters. So this lens is now finished. It's saved. So now I'm going to go over there, grab the next lens, and repeat the whole process with that lens. The same process we just did. I managed to get both lenses, all 3 lenses saved. And it's a little bit of a hassle, I have to say, having to move both back and forth without yanking any cables and unplugging things and making sure the camera's propped up at the same height. If I don't know how much I'm going to change these saved lenses. I have another set of lenses. They are the Sigma Zooms. I think if I have a big enough job, I'll probably delete all the profiles. It'd be great to have more profiles so I can save more profiles, but it's only 3 positions, C1, C2, C3. So as much as I don't want to have to do this, if the situation occurs where I have to use those zoom lenses instead of these, now this was really brought on from me wanting to use these iron glass lenses. So I'm going to try to leave these profiles in there. But obviously, if I had a big enough job coming up where we were going to use the zooms, I'd have to delete all those profiles and then reset up, do this all over again with the other lenses, right? So that is a downside. And obviously, if you had the Focus Pro handle, it would make this a lot easier. I wouldn't have to deal with having the gimbal next to the camera. But let's see if this works. Let's give this a test. And we're going to take one. Let's see here. We're going to take this. Here we go. All right. We're going to take one of the special USB high-powered cables and plug that into the motor. We're probably going to get a blinking or a light there. That means it needs to be calibrated. And we're going to take the other power cable, plug that into the power port. Really hard to do this with one hand, but bear with me. There we go. So might as well turn the camera on also. So we are now fully autonomous. No more gimbal. All right, so we see a red light there on C3, which is the 85 mil. So that tracks. And we got a red light down there. So probably means we need to calibrate. So I think, if I remember correctly, If I tap the first one, or is it a double tap? Yeah, double tap does a lens calibration, a motor calibration. All right, so let's do that. Probably a good thing to do right when you first power everything up. All right, and then we're gonna select, there we go, and it's gone green. So green is a good sign. And let's point at the wall, and look at that, we are in focus. So let's point at the lens case, and we are in focus. Look at that. We got our focus assist turned on. You can see now it just jumped to the background. Let's go back to the wall there, and there you have it. So when I set it up, that one was reading. So that's exactly what we would expect to see. So let's see here. Let's go back to the lens case. And there you go, it grabbed focus. The lens case now is, let's shift back, and it snapped back to focus. So it seems like it is working. Let me get up off the ground here. I'm going to have this on my hip here, and I'm going to walk forward towards the lens chart, and let's see if we maintain focus. Sure enough, look at that. We got the center one on the chart shining. So that means that's in focus. So we are roughly at 4 feet. So this lens will focus closer. So let's get closer. And I can see the lens motor turning there. So let's walk backwards. It should turn as we walk backwards, away from the focus chart, away from the wall. And if we look at the chart, it is sharp. So as we walk forward, the motor should now turn in the other direction, and it is. And there you have it. And we are in focus. All right, so this is working. So the sticker on the car's bumper is now in focus. And let's go to the trash can, and let's see if it picks up. So I have a feeling this LiDAR works much better with faces than surfaces, because it's not picking that up. Let's see if I can force it. There you go. I heard it snapping, and there you see the focus assist right on the logo there on the trash can that you see right there. So it does work, but I think if it was somebody's face, it would work better. So we're going to try that next. So there you go. Oh, you saw it hunting there. It's still hunting. And there you go. Now it's focused on the sticker again on the car's bumper. So it definitely works. Let's swing back here to the focus chart. And there you go. It's in focus. So let me see what happens as I walk forward. It's in focus. Very much in focus. And let's see what happens as I walk backwards. Very much in focus. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have a working Generation 1 LiDAR from the RS3 Pro combo, standalone, not connected to the RS3, successfully working with 3 lens profiles calibrated, my iron glass, my Mark 1 iron glass lenses, and there you see the motor turning away, and success. So once again, the 3 pieces of hardware you need to make this work. These 2 special USB cables and the IRIS Rod Shim right there. and then a little bit of patience to get the whole setup calibrated. But once it's calibrated, I now have a one-man band autofocus setup on a T 2.0 lens, vintage lens, and we're a little bit later. The sun's starting to go down. Let's shoot a test here with my daughter here in a little bit and see what that looks like. See how it focuses when we give it somebody's face, which I think it's going to do much better. Everyone, okay, so I'm going to show you how to switch lenses here. So you see here the green light. All right, so that means this lens is currently active. You can see the motor moving when I put my hand in front of it. There you go. And so what we're gonna do is, I think we pause it. We go to manual focus. See, now the light goes red. Oh, see, okay, so the light is red. Okay, so now we're gonna pull the lens off. Okay, we have the 30, that was a 35. We're gonna put on the middle lens, the 58. Oh, I'm gonna take that off. Okay, make sure the motor, make sure the motor's tight. Okay, all right. So now that you put the motor on there, we have to go to C, there you go. We have to go to C2, the middle one, middle lens profile. So I think the way you do that is you press the function button. Yep, okay, see now look, now it's on C2 and it's blinking because it's automatically gonna start calibrating the motor. Okay, and if you look up here, it's blinking red, okay? So now that it finished calibrating, now I just hit the function button and it's gonna go green. That means it's working again. So now we're gonna do one last take with Giselle so we can see it working. It looks like it worked really good on the wide lens, and on the longer lens it worked really well also, but when I got far away, I don't know, I think the camera on the LiDAR lost contact with our actress and it got a little confused for a second. So it definitely works good on the wide lenses, not so much, not so much on the longer lenses, which kind of makes sense, but this is why we're testing. All right, so let's cut to the footage. So let's look at some of the footage here of my daughter. This is interesting because you see, even in the dark, when she disappears into the dark, it's still tracking focus on her. And you can see she's got a nice eye light. And you can also notice it's not shifting focus to the water cup that's in front. It's still very much on her eyes. So there's definitely some face detection that the LiDAR is doing. The piece of paper is sharp, but it's definitely on her eyes. And it's interesting to see it not shift to the cup. So now we're outside, and see, we go to this bush, and we go to the tree in the background. So it's a good 20 feet of difference, and even when I pan over here to the trees, it worked. So this is interesting. It did not shift to this palm tree, banana tree that's there. It's not, see, I have to point down toward the fountain for it to actually snap to the fountain, even though it's completely filling the frame. And if I'm panning, if I'm tilting up here, notice at some point, as soon as the fountain gets skinny, it shifts to the background. So right here it works, and then right there it shifts to the background. Now, that probably has a lot to do because the LiDAR is on top of the lens, so probably something I want to do is shift the LiDAR to slightly below the lens or matte box. So you can see here it's not picking up on the trash can, so I had to point down at the trash can, and there you go. Now we're nice and sharp on the logo there on the trash can, and 10 feet away is the car. And it's very nicely going back and forth from the sticker on the bumper to the logo on the trash can. Sticker on the bumper, logo on the trash can. And there you go. We got the other trash can, and now back to the bumper. So there's a good 10 feet in between those two items. So it's actually working really well in this situation. So we got the trash can and then the bumper. Okay, so now we're back to a human face, and just wanted to see how it would deal with, how it would react outside. We got here a nice sunset shot of my daughter, and so right there I told her to stop, and I'm walking backwards. No, I'm handheld, that's why it's very shaky. See, I asked her to slowly walk forwards, and you can see there, it's, yep, it's sharp, but during the walk up, it was not doing a perfect job following. Now, I'm wide open on the lens, so it's at a T2 right now. So honestly, even a human would have a little bit of a hard time unscripted to keep that shot in focus. Now, obviously, if we put down marks and rehearsed, I think a human would do a better job, actually. So I'm now stationary and asked her to walk away. I could easily see that her hair there on the back of her head was perfectly sharp. Now, when we get about 25 feet away, you see now it shifted to the back and it lost focus on her face. So I had to point down at the ground once again to catch her face again. So I think at longer distances on the wider lens, at longer distances period, it has a hard time. So you saw here during my walk up, that went perfectly fine. And it's nice and sharp, and it's looking good. So I'm shifting left to right, and I wanted to see if it pulses the focus or does anything funny, and it's nice and stable actually. So I pointed it into the sun because I was curious to see if the direct sunlight in the LiDAR camera would affect anything. It doesn't seem like it did. So here I'm stationary and asked her to walk up. And if you look at the logo on her shirt, it's tracking focus nicely. I know because I'm handheld and the image is shaky. It's a little bit hard to tell, but you could always look at her hair. It's nice and sharp. And there we go, right into the sun. It's not shifting focus. I also framed, heavy left or heavy right to see if it maintains focus on the face, and it does. And we are going to, let's see here. Oh, okay, yeah, we're going to go back to the backyard here real quick and see. The cool thing is that even when it gets really dark, the LiDAR doesn't care about the level of light. So it still holds focus. So this is great for these kind of situations where you're going in and out of dark and bright situations. And yeah. Okay, I adjusted the exposure there. Took out an ND. And all right, let's see here. Okay. All right, nice and sharp. I'm going to have her walk away, and we're going to follow her. Try her feet for a second here. See there, it's a little soft for a second. So I think the positioning of the LiDAR is very important, and probably on top of the camera, I'm starting to realize is not the best place. I think slightly below the matte box or the lens is probably better. So once again, it doesn't seem like the direct sunlight into the LiDAR has any effect because it's holding focus on her hair very well. And there's a lot of change in distance here. I'm getting very close to her, very far away because I'm walking. She's stopping. This is obviously totally unscripted. It's doing a really good job. Once again, this is the LiDAR Generation 1. I think the second LiDAR is even much more higher resolution and works much better. So here I am far away, and I'm doing a push-in, and that's that. Nice and sharp. If you look down on her shirt, on the logo on her shirt, you'll notice it looks nice and sharp. And I pulled away, and it's still holding. Now I was trying to get far like I did before, and it's still holding focus, and it shifted to this. See, it takes a second, and it shifted focus really nice between those two objects. So it's working pretty well, I have to say. I think the mounting of the LiDAR is kind of a big deal. And yeah, nice and sharp. Her eyes look sharp. The system is working great. Again, we're at a T2, right? Let's not forget that. Lens is wide open. There you go. We're losing a little bit of light, and still nice and sharp on her eyes there. We got a nice eye light at the moment. And I'm slowly walking away here, and got the fence in the way, but it did not shift focus. So it's working really well. I'm pretty happy with the way this system's working. Nice and sharp during the walk up. She still looks perfectly in focus. And once again, looking into the sunset there, nicely in focus. So down to her feet and tracking up here in focus. Very nice. All right. So I'm pretty happy with this test. I'm going to try to relocate the LiDAR, and because I think it's probably not in the best position here for some situations. But overall, pretty stoked that my LiDAR version 1 here and my Ronin RS3 from the Pro Combo is giving me such good results standalone, letting me shoot with these old vintage lenses wide open by myself. And I'm willing to deal with some of the downsides. All right, guys, see you in the next one.